Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're having so much fun at Halloween. Sometimes we don't think about the dangers that could occur. Your kid gets a bag of candy and you don't know he's allergic to like peanuts, and then it unravels.
Right.
Tell me about the dangers that kids face with, I guess, not knowing what's in the candy they have.
Well, that's the truth, is you go trick-or-treating, you go to house, and you don't know what's in these candies. And for a lot of children, they don't eat nuts. You know, my kids don't really like nuts either. So, you know, the first time sometimes when they eat that Butterfinger or Reese's peanut butter cup is the first time they've ever had peanuts. And so the things that can happen is an immediate reaction, you know, and things that parents should look for is potentially within the first 30 seconds of ingestion, something like hives, difficulty breathing, coughing, throat clearing, saying, you know, something stuck in my throat, I don't feel well. Those are symptoms of a food allergy.
So what do they do if you're on the Halloween route and all of a sudden this kid starts feeling these things? How do you fix it right away?
Well, I mean, if you're unprepared, which most people probably are if their kid hasn't had a food allergy before, is call 911, you know, find your local doctor. But, you know, for parents who do have children with food allergies, usually and hopefully they're prepared. So they'll have things like Benadryl and their emergency epinephrine on hand.
Benadryl's the magic solution for some things, for a lot of things.
It is, but I will say the only way to completely reverse a severe allergic reaction is epinephrine.
Right.
So sometimes, you know, you can give the Benadryl, but that may not be enough.
Okay, now, so what candies are totally safe from allergens? So if you're on giving out candy, you might say, I'll just buy these.
Sure, yeah, there's several options out there for people who want to just be safe and give those allergy-free candies. So examples include things like Skittles, Starbursts, Nerds, Ring Pops, Swedish Fish. So you have many other options.
And there's a top 5 ways of keeping kids safe, I think you told me.
Yeah, so I've come up with a top 5 ways to keep your kids with food allergies safe this Halloween. So number 1, I call it BYOP, bring your own pumpkin. So grab that jack-o'-lantern and fill it up with allergy-free treats so your kids have something to snack on along the way. And you know, if you have a known food allergy, if your child has a known food allergy, bring that injectable epinephrine and maybe even an inhaler if asthma is a concern. Okay, so number 2, have a candy swap. So when you get home from trick-or-treating, swap out the candy that you feel is unsafe and replace it with maybe age-appropriate items like a stuffed animal or a coloring book.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So number 3, read labels carefully. So sometimes you might think a certain candy doesn't have an allergen in it, but you know, sometimes it can be bagged with ones that are, so you have to be really careful and read those labels. And number 4, you know, you can always start new traditions. If trick-or-treating is fearful or scary to you still, start your own traditions. You can do things like a scavenger hunt or watch a scary movie together, play Halloween games. And then number 5, one thing you can always do is get creative with costumes. So get things like, you know, gloves if you're worried that your child may come into contact with something that may actually have an allergen, you know, design your own costume.
And that makes sense. And real quickly before we go, I want to say that you only focus on allergies with kids. And how long does it take if we want to check in advance to see what our kid's allergic to? How long does that take and what's it like?
So the first thing I would do is, you know, consult your local allergist because you definitely want to see a physician who specializes in allergies. And so usually what a physician an allergist will do, take a clinical history, and then there's 2 types of ways you can do testing. One is a skin test and one is a blood test.
Takes about 15 minutes.
The skin test takes about 15 minutes.
Reena Mehta, thank you so much for joining us. Good information as Halloween approaches.
Thank you for having me.